Welcome to the fifth compilation celebration, where we analyze over 7 dozen creepy clips. If you like this video, it is free to subscribe, and it helps the YouTube algorithm if you also hit like. Episode 41. Is this activity caused by a noisy ghost? 3 men are resting on the floor when they are disturbed. First, a piece of paper will fall. Then, a rolled up stack of papers will fall. Then, a roll of paper falls. And finally, a drawer opens. After the drawer opens, they run out of the room. So we know that it's probably not an earthquake, a train, or plane causing the building to vibrate, resulting in this activity. But everything is moving towards a spot off camera. So is someone over there off camera just using a string? Is this a movie set? Is it a prank or a hoax? Is this a disembodied hand? Suddenly a hand appears. But whose hand? It appears to be an adult-sized hand. It appears to be a left hand, but the angle of the hand implies someone is 2 to 3 feet tall. Is this the hand of a little person? Most little people have smaller hands. Is it an adult that is kneeling down on the other side of that wall? Again, I think this is very easy to recreate, so I'm not convinced it's paranormal. What do you think? Is it a ghost hand, or is it an adult with a fur fetish? What is this creature? As these individuals explore this abandoned building, they flash the flashlight all around. And initially they don't see anything, but then when they turn to the right, they suddenly see a figure in a doorway. What is it? An incredibly tall, odd-shaped figure. Is it Huggy Wuggy? Is it someone on stilts in a Huggy Wuggy costume? Is it a hoax? Is it a prank? And are the people with the camera in on it? Is it someone in an Angry Bird costume? The poor quality of the footage makes it act like a shapeshifter, in which it changes its shape from Angry Bird to Huggy Wuggy. Go figure. Well, if it is an alien, I think he needs to be beamed back up. It's quite clear that his spacesuit can't handle Earth's gravity. Is this an alien or a bug, or an alien bug? I'm not an expert on bugs, but after uploading over 500 videos on my Nature Security Camera channel, I am an expert on bugs on lenses. And this is a bug on the camera lens. Not an alien, not any type of ghost or cryptid. It's just a bug. If you watch episode 12, you will see how security cameras capture different phenomenon that may seem paranormal, but is not. What is this creepy creep? The camera operator is exploring outside, and he points the camera around. He even finds some horses, but because of how dim the light is, the horses even look creepy. Then he points the camera in a direction that captures a very creepy creep. What looks like a very stereotypical alien appears. A big head so that they show that they're smarter than us. And the head does move, but is it animatronics or is it a human being in a costume? Again, this is so easy to recreate with the proper lighting and the proper costume. Is this a predatory ghost stalking this house? This camera is pointing at the patio furniture outside when a whitish colored creature starts creeping towards the house. It kneels and crouches on the ground as if trying to figure out how to get inside the house. It starts to back away from the house, and when it does, it starts dangling its arms in a spastic manner. Now the footage is zoomed in to get a closer look at whatever this thing is. This is either a creepy neighbor or all of it is a prank, hoax, setup, staged, whatever you want to call it. I love how he sometimes forgets that his arms are supposed to be spastic. It's definitely creepy and should belong in a movie. Episode 42. Who is peeking back at them? As the camera is pointed through the door, glowing eyes can be seen. We know human eyes do not glow in the dark, so unless it's a human with disguise on, that's not a human being. When we zoom in, it just looks like lights on the other side of the wall. Perhaps exterior lights from an outside building. Or is it a sign and not a window, and it just has a shiny spot on it? Is it just an optical illusion? What is this shadowy figure? As the camera is pointed through the bars, we see an oval shadow in the doorway. Is it a statue? Is it an oval window or an oval picture frame? It has such perfect symmetry and such a geometrical shape that I feel like it's man-made and not paranormal. Are these investigators joined by something else? Over this gentleman's right shoulder, we see what appears to be a shadowy figure in that doorway. When we zoom in, a second figure will appear. So is it just other employees, other visitors? Because it looks like that just unzipped something before a second individual shows up. They definitely captured something. I'm just not convinced it's paranormal. What do you think on this one? Real or fake? Are these dogs being affected by these orbs? As these dogs are barking at something outside, we can see particles flying down towards them. Let's first talk about animal safety. Please put some type of block in front of that stool to prevent it from rolling, because this is actually dangerous for the animals. You can see that the air vents in this house are up closer to the ceiling. So that tells me above this camera, there's an air vent and it's just blowing dust down. So this is not a ghostly orb whatsoever. And the stool is moving by the dog. It's not moving because of a ghost. Is this doll possessed? As the camera is pointed towards that doll, the doll's head moves towards the camera. Is this doll possessed? Or is it rigged to be moved on cue? At this point in the audio, they're talking about getting rid of this doll. This is one of those odd ones where I have so many questions, such as, why is that painting so far out from the wall? And how is that doll perched? And is there someone sitting on the floor right on the other side of the shelf out of camera frames? And why is the hair perfectly down on the right side, but kind of wavy and all over the place on the left side? Is there some type of rig that is preventing us from seeing the truth? Is there a clamp on the back side of the head that's hidden by the hair or the painting or the shelf, and that allows them to turn that head slightly? I found a reverse angle of the exact same scene. So I don't know why we have this flipped angle on this. It's weird to me. This may be real paranormal, but I can also see how it could be recreated. Is this doll on the move? I always try to crop children out or blur their image as much as possible. But the paranormal is the focus of the doll behind the child. It appears that doll didn't like that object so close to it, so pushed it away. I think this one might actually be real, just because of how unique it is. The child is happily chatting to the camera, and it would take two strings to pull off this type of rigging. I think the combination with the child's actions and the more complex rigging, this one might be real. What caused this doll's head to move so quickly? Again, I've tried to crop out the child, but pay attention to the doll that is on our right, her left. Did you see that head whip? There is an adult male speaking with the child. The child was so startled by that movement that she threw both the dolls, screamed, and jumped away. Is it possible that the head was whipped around by someone yanking on a string? I think the hair would have been pulled if a string had been used. The girl's fingers are too short and down by the hips and would not be able to make that doll's head move like that. If you've ever decapitated a doll, most of these plastic dolls, their heads are hollow. So could there be some type of mechanism inside the head that caused it to move like that? Yes. Most of these type of dolls, the head is not on there loose, so it does take a little bit of pressure to actually turn the head. I'm not sure on this one. It might be real. What caused this arm to move? As the camera pans through all these dolls, it finally gets to one where the arm moves. So was a string used? I don't think so, just because there's so many dolls, it would be very difficult to move one doll without causing another doll to move. Is it possible it's simple gravity where that arm joint just drops down because of vibration in the floor? Probably, but I feel like we would have seen other dolls moving just slightly if there was a lot of vibration in the floor. It is a creepy looking doll that it just reminds me of Chucky. So I don't know on this one. It may be real, but it also may be staged. What do you think on this one? Episode 43. Is this woman being chased by a ghost? As this woman walks down these stairs, suddenly a dark shadow can be seen, and it causes her to run back up the stairs, and the shadow chases her. I think this is a case where they filmed this in a way where that shadow was a living person, but then during editing, they blurred out that image until it just becomes this shadowy figure. I think when we see it run up the stairs, that is just the film being sped up. What is this vapor? This individual hears a noise and goes into this other room, and they see this vapory figure. I don't know on this one. I feel like this is some type of a ripple effect that could be done during the editing process, but I'm not sure. Is there a figure beyond the glass? As the camera pans through the glass, a figure appears. So is this an optical illusion caused by the glass being smudged? Is it a reflection of the camera operator? Is it just distortion caused by the glass that's picking up things in the background with different shadows? Was there another person there? And why was there a cut in the footage right there? I'm not convinced this is anything other than a smudge on the glass, optical illusion, not paranormal. What is going on with this doll's eyes? While the camera is pointed at this doll, her eyes are pointed towards her right, our left. Then the camera will move away from that doll and start showing some of the other dolls. And then when it goes back a few minutes later, the position of the eyes and eyelid have changed. Could vibration in the building or the floor cause those eyes to open, close, or move? Is there someone else there off camera? And did they move the eyes? Now the camera is going to be put on a tripod and be stationary, and then they're going back into night vision, and we see the eyes are moving. Some eyes are just marbles, and some eyelids can move very easily. Not having played around with this doll, I don't know if these eyes or eyelids move easily, but I did notice the doll shifts from side to side, and I don't know if that's caused by some type of vibration. Other dolls were designed to where it would open up their mouth if it was time to eat, or close their eyes if it was time to sleep. And you could just squeeze their belly to get the mouth to open or the eyes to close. I wish that we had a camera behind this camera so we could see the entire area to see if anybody's come towards it or if anything is jostling due to vibration in the building or the floor. So for me, this footage is compelling but inconclusive. I just am not seeing enough of the space, and I'm not knowledgeable enough on this specific type of doll to see what options are available. Why does this doll sit up and take notice? The footage has been sped up times 10. So in reality, this doll is not moving as much as it looks like in this footage. So knowing that, is it possible someone is off camera pulling a string? Why does this doll look so creepy? What is going on with its face? Is that barrettes in its hair? Or did they paste on horns? Were they trying to go for a demonic look? Is this a movie prop or a prank? Did this doll's head turn on its own? We go from looking at this shelf of dolls to the single dolls. And again, I notice when they shake the doll, the eyes move. So it's not the eye movement, it's actually the head turning. How did that happen? I don't know if the neck was loose and it kind of just fell in the direction of the tilt. I know the eye tracking is kind of bizarre and it feels like it's looking right at you, but I think that's how the eyes are designed to move, because there are a little marble in there that when the head is turned, the eyes will move, and when the head is tilted, the eyes will move. But yes, it is a little bizarre. I'm not sure on this one as far as that head turning. That was a little bit weird, so I don't know if that was real or a loose neck. What caused this doll to smack this other doll? As the camera is pointing to all this stuff on the shelf, the right hand of that clown doll smacks the head of that figurine. The camera operator was not talking about the clown, he was talking about the head of the figurine. And I cropped the footage so that the figurine and the hand were in the center of the frame. So was a string used to pull the arm towards the head? There is a window right there, and it's possible somebody was on the other side of that window and simply pulled a string. And I can't tell if that window was cracked open or not. He just pulled on that clown, which caused the other figurine to fall. There is a wine glass in between the legs of the clown, but it doesn't look like anybody touched the stem of that glass, causing that arm to pop out. I'm not sure on this one. The initial smack could be real. Episode 44. What is this water creature? As the camera is pointed into the water, it appears that there is a snake-like figure with snow on it floating at the surface of the water. What is this thing? I really feel like this is some type of a tree or log with maybe some branches on it, and maybe it's not even on top, which is causing the ice to segment like it is. It's looking like it's moving because the current is actually pushing it, and because it has those tree branches off to the sides, it's giving the appearance that it's swimming, but in actuality, I think it's just a log. I don't think it's a real living organism other than a tree. I know a lot of channels are trying to pass this off as the Loch Ness Monster of the Western Hemisphere, but I don't think that's what's going on here. Even the government agency that captured this, they believe that it might be part of a bridge pier that has a rope on it, and that's causing some of the water displacement. So as cool and as creepy as this is, I think it's just a log of some sort. What is this humpback creature? To the left of the screen, we see a large triangle shape in the middle of the water. What is it? It disappears beneath the river and leaves a wake behind it. Anytime there's any type of creature in water, I'm always asking, what wildlife could it be? At this moment, it looks like a killer whale attack. If we had a close-up, we would probably see something like this inserted picture. If we are looking for just one creature, then yes, this would be a spooky, unidentified creature. But if you change your mindset and think that this might be a pod of killer whales, then you might have a better answer as to what we're looking at. So the water is too dirty for us to know for sure what is going on, but my guess is killer whales. What is this creature in this abandoned building? As these explorers come down the staircase, suddenly a creature pops in through the doorway, and a notepad falls to the ground. What is going on? Slowing it down doesn't help that much, but when that creature comes in, that notebook falls. So, is the creature in a mask and gloves just trying to scare these kids? Is it a prank? Is it a joke? Did someone use a string on that notebook causing it to fall? Or was there a natural draft that occurs? Did this creature bang on the outside wall and that's what caused that notebook to fall? I'm not convinced this is paranormal or aliens or cryptids. What do you think? Is this tricycle possessed? A riderless tricycle starts rolling directly towards the camera operator. Is the string being used by somebody off camera? Is it set up on a remote control? Is it a kid ghost that doesn't want to do his chores? What's compelling about this one is it actually pulls back, bumps up against the wall, pops a wheelie before it turns and goes right towards the camera operator. I know an engineer could actually do something to create that type of movement, but this is actually pretty compelling. It might be real. I mean, it hit the wall so hard that it pops a wheelie and it turns in midair towards the camera operator. I would have dropped the camera and started running. And the fact that the camera operator didn't jump or move or lose track of the tricycle does make me wonder if it is real or not. Human instinct is fight or flight, not fight, flight, and build. I definitely have mixed feelings on this one. The movement of the tricycle seems too elaborate, and yet the camera operator's actions seems too predictable. Totally mixed on this one. What caused this door to close? Suddenly a large metal door closes. Who or what closed that door? He rushes over, kicks the door open, and doesn't see anyone. Could a draft or a breeze close that door? Is the door too heavy to be closed by a draft or vacuum? Is someone hiding on the other side of the door, and his delay at moving towards the door gave that person time to run away? What do you think on this one? Real or fake? What moved these flying objects? Objects on the ground start flying towards him. Who or what moved these objects? Everything moves so fast that I'm not even sure what moved. Slowed down to see what's going on. Even slowed down by 75%, there's so much happening that I'm not sure what's happening. So let's slow it down 100% and try that again. Okay, zoomed in and slowed down. I know the round bucket moves, I know the square bucket moves, and then a couple of the smaller pieces move as well. And this guy always prays when he's investigating, when he's scared, and he runs and he jumps and he doesn't keep the camera on things, but he actually, I think, fell down a couple of stairs trying to get away from all this stuff flying at him. I don't know if you've ever watched tornado footage, but that's what this reminds me of, is just stuff picked up by a tornado. I don't think it's a tornado, but this is pretty elaborate of a hoax or a prank. This is when he falls down. He is okay, he does get back up, but I'm sure he probably had a couple of bruises from falling. I don't know if this is a movie set, and they've got Harry Potter's fireplace that's spitting out all the envelopes in there. I really like this guy's paranormal videos because they are really creepy and scary, but unfortunately my rule of thumb is if there's too much activity, it's probably not real. Where did they go? How did they disappear? Two groundskeepers vanish on live television in the background footage of this live news broadcast. Is it some type of portal? Is it the Bermuda Triangle? Is it some other type of vortex space continuum. My choices are some type of camera glitch, like a data merge issue. The day we know that all cameras are fixed and they have zero glitches is the day that I will believe that this is some type of supernatural portal. Is a spirit attacking this young man? The premise of the next video we're going to be looking at is this young man is apparently being attacked by an unknown spirit. But before we get into the clip, I wanted to look at a couple of different physical movements. The styles of movement I want to look at are miming movement, breakdancing, and a newer form of dancing, or at least new to me, popping. So this is classic miming, where he pretends to pick up a rope, and then he pretends to start pulling on a rope, and then all of a sudden the rope starts dragging him. And it's that dragging movement that I want you to pay attention to. So apparently this is called popping. I just consider it a more elaborate form of miming. And in this case, he has a shell inside of his jacket, and he's actually rotating the jacket around as much as his head. Now in this one, he actually has a leg brace on his right leg. And that's how he's able to do this type of falling movement. This next clip is more breakdancing, and I just want you to notice how high this guy leaps, pushing off with one leg. And the main thing all of these clips show is body control. And now back to the paranormal. As this young man is sitting in this chair, suddenly he is yanked backwards. Or is that the illusion we are meant to believe? We know his feet are touching the ground. So did he simply push off the ground with his legs? It does look like his legs moved before his body and the chair moved. Did you see the subtle twitch in the legs? We already know one leg can launch a person into the air. Is that what happened here? Same young man, he's leaning against a wall. This time he'll get yanked to his left. The footage is blurred because he's an underage minor. And in each clip, his mother is rushing forward and catching him. Again, he will have one leg on the ground. This time it'll be his right leg. So the question is he miming being yanked by his left leg? This is one of those where my own human bias and my own personality may be getting in my own way. The first issue is I don't want to see a child suffer, so I don't want this to be real. And then the secondary issue is that I'm a fraud investigator. This mother has called the media claiming that her son's being attacked. So there's a bunch of people there, and this is all happening live on TV. Conveniently happening live on TV. And I also know acting, miming, breakdancing, and popping are options. Episode 45. As we watch this equity species in this field, it appears to have a horn on its head. Is this simply an optical illusion caused by the ears being so long and it's actually a donkey or a mule? Is it simply a hoax in which someone just strapped on a horn to make it look like it's a unicorn? Regardless, it's a beautiful creature and it's in a beautiful setting. As the camera pans around, it looks into this loft and sees a figure. Is this an alien? Is it a cryptid? Is it a freak in disguise? If I hear a noise and I go and investigate it, my phone is not going to be turned on to take video. It's going to be available to call for help. As the flashlight moves around, it suddenly comes across a figure that runs away. Again, is this an alien? Is it a cryptid? Is it a freak in disguise? It's just disgusting to me if you are disguising yourself to look like the murdering racist Klan. And again, I'm not going to be using my phone to record this. I'm going to be using the phone to call for help. As we watch this video, the desk starts moving towards the camera operator. Then in this scene, that red stool is going to start moving away from the camera operator, and it will pull that little cube with it. Initially, we could think that that desk is too heavy to be moved by string, but it appears that it's elevated, which would indicate it's on wheels, and that's going to make it a lot easier to use anything, including somebody on the other side of the desk, simply pushing that desk towards the camera operator. So is there a string attached to that little red stool, and that's why it's getting hung up on that pipe of that pole? Because the person that's pulling the string is in that doorway and trying to yank it towards themselves? This is some type of a lightweight plastic tank that is round on the sides and the top, and it's not meant to be standing on the end like that. So could a breeze just cause it to topple over because it wasn't very stable to begin with? Could a string be used to just pull that down and cause it to fall over? Or is there another person there that actually held it up for a second until the camera was on and then moved away and it just naturally fell? We see someone peeking around the door frame before they disappear completely. Peepers are always one of the freakiest of all the paranormal sightings that we have, but they're also the easiest ones to fake. The only real question I have with this one is the camera operator in on it, or are they being hoaxed? As this man is being interviewed, the blonde-haired woman on the left disappears. We will see the blonde-haired woman turn towards her right and start walking behind the brunette. A combination of the camera angle and the brunette's ponytail actually completely obscures the blonde-haired woman who is walking right there. So this is just an atypical perspective optical illusion. At this football game, there is a dark figure in the stands that is running very quickly from left to right. This is one of those odd ones where I don't know if this is a video effect, if it's some sort of a camera glitch, or if it's simply paranormal. As the door closes, a figure can be seen. It kind of moves in a way like it's a head or a face on a balloon, where it tilts from side to side like it's moving, just like a balloon would move on a stick or on a string. I don't think it's paranormal. What do you think? Please click the bell icon so you are notified of new releases. Episode 46. If you enjoy this content of questioning everything, please subscribe. It really helps me out. And leave a like, because that helps with the YouTube algorithm. Are these demonic eyes? As this reporter is speaking, he will blink and his eyes are altered. This video is being passed off as a reptilian shapeshifter. This just seems like a shutter speed issue with the camera and just a camera glitch. I'm not convinced this is demonic, a shapeshifter, or anything paranormal. Who or what is peeking around this corner? We can see a figure peeking around the doorway. What you just heard is the audio that's on that video. An intense growl, and then the scratching noises. Normally I don't include the audio with the video simply because there's no way for me to prove or disprove whether it's real or not. I included the audio only because in this one, the video ends before he ever goes down and investigates and tries to figure out what that is. He actually turns away from this scene. And it's possible that with the noises that we heard, it was just too scary to approach it. And I can't blame him for that. But at the same time, I'm not convinced it's real. I think this is potentially staged. It's a lot easier to stage if you don't get a close-up of whatever it is you're looking at. Why was this doll buried? As the investigator removes this rock, we'll see a doll inside. As they zoom in and get a closer look, we can see the eye of the doll, and then it tips over. It does look like the doll was completely submerged and buried under these rocks. Would it have fallen over with just them stomping around? Was it a windy day and wind managed to get into that crack and it was strong enough to blow it over? The other thing that is odd is it kind of appears like it moves towards the hole before it falls over. It also initially looked like its eyes were closed, but then when we get that close up, we can see that there's the right eye that it's open. The open right eye looks longer than the closed left eye. Was a string attached to the doll that makes it look like it moves forward before it falls over? The eye also appears like it opens as it moves towards the hole. So it's possible they used a string, pulled it forward, which caused that eyelid to shutter open because of movement, and then when they let go of the string, it falls off to one side. When I go back and look at all the rocks that are piled on to this doll, it just seems to me they'd have to move that rock to tie any type of string to that doll. The more I slow this down, zoom in, and analyze this, the creepier this clip gets. Additionally, that right eye looks so human-like, with the exception of the color. But could that eye be some type of a editing trick where they just copied and pasted a realistic eye onto that doll? I could see how this could be recreated, but that's a lot of work and I'm not convinced it's fake. Why are these objects shifting and slamming? As this investigator is exploring this abandoned building, a door starts slamming and vibrating against the door jamb. As he gets closer to it, it just keeps moving. Then suddenly he hears a noise to his left. Inside this room, that cabinet is just vibrating, moving, jumping, and the entire time that door is opening and closing and slamming on seemingly by itself. He starts to leave, and then he glances back and starts looking again at what's happening. He moves closer to the cabinet and he continues to see it rocking. He moves even closer, and all of a sudden the board on top falls. And the entire time he's watching this cabinet, that door is still slamming, so he turns towards it, but can't take his eyes off this cabinet. Well, that was certainly entertaining, but as you know, my rule of thumb is if there's too much activity, it's probably being faked. Because he never goes into that door, we never see if there's somebody on the other side of that door making all that noise and slamming that door. When he walks into this room, he doesn't pan the camera around, so chances are somebody is just squatted down on the left-hand side of that doorway and just using a string to pull that cabinet. I guess because I'm just so into the way Taps did things, where if they saw a noise, they would move towards it, they would try to debunk it. The fact that he doesn't pan the camera around the room and doesn't show us the potential of what could have caused this just makes me think it's staged. Even when he turns away right here to escape this cabinet, he raises the camera back up before he turns it to the left. That tells me that potentially somebody was sitting right there with a string. Is there enough room for someone to be standing on the right side and pulling the string, and that's why he turned the camera to the left to leave the room? More questions than answers with this one, but I'm not convinced this one's real. What caused this cape to move upwards? As we're in this barbershop or hair salon, we will see that blue cape move upwards as if somebody had just sat down. Now both capes are blowing because of an air vent that is causing them to move slightly, but that air vent doesn't explain this upward movement. Is it possible somebody pulled a string that was inserted between the chair back and the chair seat, and they just pulled it towards that doorway behind the chair? Is it possible that somebody attached a couple of hair clips to the top of that cape, which caused it to be heavy and pulling it down on the backside? It's moving in such a way that it looks like somebody just sat down. The only person that noticed it moving was the guy that was sitting behind the desk, and he immediately jumped up and went, "Oh, hell no." which startled and confused everybody else. I will admit that it is odd for the security camera to be so low, but I only think it's odd because it's a business. My security cameras at my house are actually fairly low, and if you watch nature's security camera, you'll see most of them are only a few feet off the ground. So yes, again, I can see how it could be faked using string or hair clips, but I'm not convinced it is fake. This just seems like a chill environment for a ghost to hang out in. Is this mirror possessed? This was one of those viral videos in which the little girl looks towards the mirror, but her image doesn't move. This is pretty creepy, but it's actually fake. This is an editing trick in which the little girl that's frozen in that mirror is actually a freeze frame of this footage. And they overlap the two of them and synchronize the two of them. I think the technique is called motion tracking, but I can't remember exactly what it's called. See, I can even add to this by adding my little skull image onto the base of the image in the mirror, and it would look something like this. And then I'd use some color matching techniques, if I knew how to do that, to blend it in so you couldn't see the sharp edges. What is this creepy cryptid? Late at night on this playground, a video captures a creepy creature. What is it? Is it someone in a costume? Is it a creature that is native to that area? Is it some type of a mannequin dressed up to look like a creepy figure? The jump away looks real. As it falls towards the ground, that just looks like gravity and something was dropped. It also has this optical illusion of which it looks like it was heading towards the right when it jumped, but somehow ends up with its head towards the left. I have zoomed in, changed the color, and it doesn't matter what I do, it just doesn't look any better. So your guess is as good as mine on this one. I'm not sure if this is real, fake, staged, I don't know. But because of how poor quality it is, I'm not convinced it's real. Episode 47. Who or what is moving this cane? There's a cane standing in between these two chairs, and it will suddenly start moving around this lobby. Multiple cameras in this lobby will see this cane in a different location. First we see it fall off the arm of the chair, then we will see it slide towards the elevators. Eventually we'll see someone pick it up and set it up against the wall. It also will slide away from us by about a foot. Many people will walk by it until this guy finally picks it up and sets it up against the wall. It continues to sit up against the wall for several minutes, hours, I don't know for how long, before it disappears completely. For the first part where the umbrella falls, you can see that that's a slanted arm on that chair, so of course it's going to slide off. Nothing paranormal about that. So this second camera angle showing the umbrella sliding across the floor, it might be more impressive if it was sliding starting from the center of the floor, but because it's coming from a blind spot, most likely somebody's on the other side of that wall and they just slid it across the floor. So again, nothing really paranormal there. So this third part where it moves away from us by about a foot, most likely somebody moved it, cut that they moved it, and then showed us this cut footage. And for this final part where it disappears in the end, most likely they cut the part where housekeeping picked it up and moved it to Lost and Found. These professional cameras have a timestamp on them, but the time is so faint that we can't really tell what time it is. I don't know if somebody's pulling a prank on the security guard that's watching this footage, but most likely not paranormal. We get a split second where we can see that timestamp, and when we can see it, there's no image to look at. What is this creepy dude doing? This is another video that's being passed off as paranormal, in which this is being treated as a cryptid. This is clearly somebody just walking on all fours, probably knows those cameras are there, and thinks this is funny. I admit it's creepy, but I would call the police. I wouldn't call the Ghostbusters. Is this a shadow person? In the upper left, we will see what looks like a shadow person walk across the room. Is this a ghost? Is this a camera glitch? I've learned recently that some of these night vision cameras will distort a real human being, and it's just a poor quality IR sensor, poor quality lens. I'm not sure exactly what causes it, but most likely this is not paranormal. Is this a home intruder or a ghost? A cell phone is being used to capture the security footage. In the lower left-hand corner of this room, we can see somebody at that door. Or rather, we can see the shadow of somebody at that door. According to the owner, this shadow did not pass by any of the other cameras, and they would have had to have passed by other cameras to get to that door. When we zoom in and look a little bit closer at this footage, we can see part of a leg, so it does look like it's a solid mass, not just a shadow. I also always feel like there's blind spots in security cameras, and this person might be familiar enough with the cameras to be able to skirt around those blind spots. So if this is an experienced home intruder, he would know, or she would know, where the cameras were and where the blind spots were. What do you guys think on this one? Is it paranormal or just a professional? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks. Is this pet a ghost? For whatever reason, we have a person sleeping on the sectional. Moments later, we will see the sleeping individual reaching out towards something that is sitting on the back of the couch. Is that a ghost? First of all, I can't tell if it's a dog or a cat. I do know cats will get on the back of the couch like that, and they'll open up that curtain and look outside. So the fact that it's right there at that curtain opening makes me think it's a cat. Now this is a security camera and we should have video. Instead we have a still frame photo. That tells me they cut out all the motion that shows it's a real living pet. What is going on with this freaky face? As this camera pans around in this what appears to be a deserted lot, it comes across this truck with somebody in it, and the face seems like it's been obscured somehow. Again, this is being passed off as paranormal. Clearly it's probably a human being, or it could be some type of dummy or mannequin. The window could be smudged, which is blurring out the face. The person that is filming is in a vehicle moving, which can cause motion blurring. The camera could be poor quality. Either way, not paranormal. What is this odd light? As this car is driving, all of a sudden we will see a red light. What is that from? It only happens once in the video. And could it just be brake lights in a distance and then they turned onto a side road? Could it just be a reflection of some sign? The footage continues and it never does show or get close to that red light. I'm not sure on this one. It almost looks like some of those radio tower lights, but it just seems too low to the ground to be that. If I had to guess on this one, I think it would be tail lights on a car and they hit their brakes before turning off the road, and that's why we never saw them again. But it still seems awfully bright, so I'm not sure. I'm not convinced it's paranormal though. What is this shadowy mass? When we look across the street at the neighbor's house, we see something flapping in the wind. What is that dark object? It is obviously a very windy day. Is it a trash bag? Is it a tarp? Why does it move almost like a human being and then like an animal? Is this just an optical illusion? Is it a poor quality camera? And is the distance too great to show it's actually just animals chasing something that's blowing in the wind? The second black spot that comes in from the left side looks to me like a cat. But as far as the rest, is it a dog on a chain that's just moving around? Maybe the dog is scared of the weather? Is it a bear? And at this point it is standing up on its hind legs. And when that dark spot comes over on the left-hand side, is that a cat or a small dog that's backing that animal down? I have seen so many clips of little dogs and cats chasing bears. It is insane. So is that what we're looking at? A bear that's confronted by a smaller animal? I'm not convinced it's paranormal. Episode 48. And if you enjoyed this content, please subscribe. You can also turn on the bell icon to get notified. And if you don't mind leaving a like if you enjoyed it, because that helps out the YouTube algorithm. What is this figure in the reflection? As this woman looks at herself in this mirror, We see a figure sitting on the couch behind her. Is it a living person? Is it dead? Is it a ghost? Is it a prop or a doll? But when she pans the camera away from the mirror and towards the room, we don't see anything. Is it an optical illusion? Initially, I thought this was an optical illusion because it lines up perfectly with that space in between the pillows. But when I zoom in on the figure, it doesn't look like anything resembling that space. It kind of looks like a torso of a mannequin. Could somebody be off camera and just yank that out of the way so when she turns around, we don't see it anymore? Even when I put it side by side, it still looks like something is there. If they put a mannequin there and yanked it off that couch and out of camera frame, it would have made a lot of noise on that hardwood floor. When I listen to the original audio, I don't hear any noise. The fact that she aims the camera in such a way that it captures and consistently captures that couch. Here's the original audio. So you let me know in the comments section below what you think about this clip.
So this is an old mirror that I upcycled, and I swear that sometimes you can see stuff in the background of the mirror that isn't actually there in real life. So I'm just gonna do a couple back and forths, but I'm curious to see if anyone sees anything that maybe I didn't catch. So here we go. Here's the mirror. Okay, so that's...
What is trying to get across the border? In this clip, we will see a man standing on the sidewalk, but then when we zoom back out, we will see some type of a black shape crossing in between the two gates. Is it paranormal? Is it a cryptid? Is it an alien? Was it a human in disguise? My guess is it's a bug that landed on the lens and started walking across the lens. Is this a peeping Tom? As the camera pans around this dilapidated abandoned building, the investigator slowly pans the camera towards the left and catches something. Who or what is that? A small child? An adult pretending to be a child? An optical illusion? I'm not convinced it's a ghost. I don't know if the investigator is in on the hoax or prank, or they just happened to catch a runaway child. Not paranormal, just sad. What caused this woman to fall? As this employee goes to step up on this crate, it moved and causes her to fall. What moved it and caused her to fall? Did she accidentally kick it with her foot? I have zoomed in on this. I have studied this, and I don't think she kicked it with her foot before she stepped up on it. And yet sometimes I look at it and I think before she even got her foot up that high, she might have kicked it. I don't think a string is used to create that. So this one might be paranormal. The clip ends before we see if that other employee ever gets up, walks over to her, and tries to help her up or even make sure she is completely okay. The footage ends with him just going right back to work. So if you ever see someone fall, please have the human decency to walk over with them, see if you need to call 911, see if they can get up, see if you can help them get up. What caused this trash bin to move? This trash bin has two wheels, and those wheels are on the side closest to us. The side that it's rolling towards does not have the wheels. All of a sudden, it starts lurching forward. Then it quickly will start rolling away. But then it stops, only to start going and then turning and rolling towards the left. Out of frame. Is someone sitting at the front of that car and simply kicked it or pushed it with a leg? And when it stops, they then run around to the back of that car out of camera frame and kick it again. If it is empty and there's a significant slope, this could be very easily recreated. Does it look like the side mirrors on both cars have been bolted in? I'm not convinced it's paranormal. I think it's a prank. What is this floating figure? As we look at this kitchen with its poor quality night vision security camera, we will suddenly see a figure appear. Who or what just opened up this refrigerator? Who or what is in this kitchen? Is it a ghost visitor? Well, it definitely acts like a hungry human. Do ghosts get hungry? I'm sure they miss their favorite food. I wonder if this is what purgatory is, being in a room with your favorite food and not being able to eat it. Somebody turns on the light and walks into the room. Our ghost friend disappears. So the image we saw was not an optical illusion, but did they duck down behind the counter when they heard someone else coming? Could they have dropped down behind the counter that quickly? Is it a camera glitch? It definitely has an odd shape. What do you think on this one? What is this creepy creature? As the security camera is aimed at the stockroom, on the right hand side, we start to see a head pop out behind those shelves. What is that creature? Is it paranormal? Is it a cryptid? What is it doing? Why is it hiding here? Is it simply a bored employee who decided to entertain themselves by creating this creepy video? Is it some type of a doll an employee is holding up, causing this creepy vibe? Is it an alien and we have a visitation? How many vote in favor of bored employee? How many vote in favor of alien? I'd really like to know what your guys' thoughts are on this one. Episode 49. Is this a shadow person following this person? As this person walks around this corner, a shadow can be seen following him, but it's not his shadow. Is this paranormal? Is this man being haunted? Is it a real ghost? Is it a camera glitch? Is it an editing trick? Is this an overlapping footage thing where two sets of footage were filmed and then they overlapped, making the one figure more obscure? I'm undecided on this one. I think it's a camera glitch, I think it's some type of a editing trick, and I think it might be paranormal. What do you think on this one? Is this person being attacked in their sleep? All of a sudden, an object lunges onto the bed. What is that? Is it demonic? Is this person in danger? It just looks like a small child leaping up onto the bed. Am I missing something? It doesn't matter what I do with this footage, it still just looks like a small child who just shoved off the ground, leaped up, and landed in such a weird way that is actually natural for a short person to land and then kind of fall back off the bed. Yeah, that doesn't look like anything other than a child. That's just one way a child would get their parents' attention if they're asleep. I just am not seeing the paranormal. What do you think? Is this paranormal? And I'm just clueless? Who or what is moving this screwdriver? So as we watch this footage, we see a screwdriver on the countertop that just starts moving on its own. The camera operator immediately looks under the cabinet and all the way around the cabinet to try and figure out why that screwdriver just moved. So he kind of proves that there's not a string or anything being pulled. But what he doesn't show us is underneath the countertop, is there a magnet that is on a remote that's being turned on and off? Because a magnet would cause this type of reaction. So I'm not convinced it's paranormal, but I would be happy if it was. Is this door possessed? As the camera is pointed at this door, it will slowly start to open, seemingly on its own. Who or what just opened that door? The other side of that door is incredibly dark. Is somebody on that other side and just open that door? Is this a hoax or is it real? So let me see if I got this straight. Your door opens, and it's incredibly dark on the other side of that door. And you walk over with your camera, and you do nothing to turn on any lights to illuminate that dark space. You don't take your flashlight. You don't use your cell phone as a flashlight. You just walk over and point your camera into complete and total darkness. Isn't this like every horror movie you've ever seen? I think the only thing missing from this movie is a screaming queen. It definitely showcases all the bad choices made in horror movies. Who is messing with this medication? This investigator is wandering through an abandoned hospital when he gets to the pharmacy. And just when he gets into the room, the bottles of medication fall over. Why? So, all the obvious questions. Was a string used to cause those bottles to fall? Was there an uneven floorboard? Did somebody pound on the other side of that wall? Was there a vibration in the building? So the timing is a little suspicious of just when it gets to that point, that's when those bottles fall. If a string is used, they're using multiple strings, simply because the bottles are moving in different directions. This is one of those where my own bias tends to get in my way, where the timing is suspicious and objects moving. Even in this situation, I can see how it could be recreated with string, but this actually may be real. What do you think on this one? What is causing this rocking horse to move? As this investigator is investigating this abandoned hospital, at the end of the corridor, he starts hearing a noise, and when it gets closer, he realizes the rocking horse is moving. Is a ghost moving this rocking horse? Is someone hiding just off camera that's moving this rocking horse? Is a string being used? Is a remote control device or a magnet somehow being used? The fact that the tail is not in frame is concerning. I doubt it's an editing trick. And why does it stop completely when he gets that close to it? This one might be real. Who moved this camera? A camera sitting on the floor suddenly is jerked to the side. Who or what moved this camera? Did somebody kick it? Did somebody step on the cord and that caused it to yank to one side? Is this a hoax? Or is this real paranormal? This footage is from paranormal investigators investigating the Lizzie Borden house. A camera that they have sitting on the floor behind everybody is what moves. The full-length video shows nobody was behind the camera and they actually had to walk up and fix the camera. So I will probably give them the benefit of the doubt and say this is real. Why is this clothing floating in the air? As we watch this crowd, suddenly we see clothing floating above the crowd. Why is it floating? Who is causing it to float? This clothing is actually on a hook, and it's just being held up there above the crowd. What is this blue blob? Suddenly, a blue blob shows up at this gas station. What is it? I think this is one of the first bug on a lens videos that was released like 10 years ago. It went viral, it was a big deal. It's a bug, people. It clearly flew and landed on the lens. The only reason why it's somewhat transparent is because it's a winged bug, and it's most likely blue because of the lights of the gas station. Episode 50. Is this door possessed? As these cops run towards this building, they see that this door is just swinging open and closed, seemingly by itself. What is causing this door to act this way? Is it windy? Is it on some type of remote control device? Is somebody behind the door? Could it be that plant that is closing and opening that door? Is this a movie set? Is this some sort of practical effect? This is one of those clips where I'm not sure. I feel like if the plant is causing it, it should have roots in the ground, but I can't tell if there's roots in the ground. My guess is this is possibly a movie? Is it the hinge that's broken? What do you think on this one? It's such an odd clip that I don't have an easy explanation for it. What caused this blood to spill? Apparently this is a lab where they separate out the plasma from blood, and all of a sudden one of the jars flies off the table. Was a string used? Was there some other type of practical effect used? A different employee comes in to start cleaning up the mess, and as he's mopping, the jar starts to move, so he moves it back. Is there condensation or water on that table causing the glass to move? Is the table not level and tilted? Is this a movie set? Are these workers actors? Everything just seems so staged to me, so I'm not convinced it's paranormal, but maybe it is. What is this smoking ghost? As the camera operator goes to grab for some more smokes, he's told there's a smoky ghost behind him. And then it walks away. Is this staged? Is it real? Is this a movie? Is that a practical effect? Is this some type of a video effect? Is it an editing trick? Was a smoke machine used? Is it someone in a costume that just looks like it's a smoky haze? Is this some sort of forced perspective? Did someone blow smoke really close to the camera and then blow again to get it to go away? Sorry everyone, I have more questions than answers on this one. Is a ghost stalking this woman? As we watch people walk in this busy marketplace, we see a woman with a ghost shadowing her. You will see a faint outline of a human being directly behind the lady in the blue dress. Is this some type of a glare on the lens? Is this an editing trick? It's odd that that glare or that figure only shows up behind this one woman. The figure behind her seems like it's a shorter figure. I feel like if it was a reflection on the lens, then that figure would populate behind any of these figures. So I'm just wondering if this is some sort of an editing trick. Or is it paranormal? Who or what is this figure in the forest? We can see a figure walking along the tree lines. Is it paranormal? Or is it human? I feel like this is one of those camera glitch issues, whether it's a data mirage, a IR sensor, or a shutter speed issue, or all three. So is it a hoax? Is it a prank? What is this person doing there? Is it the homeowner of the camera? I'm just not convinced this is paranormal. Is this a ghost in this parking garage? As we watch the security footage, a woman suddenly shows up. Where did she come from? Is she a real ghost? Is she the infamous woman in white? Does this vehicle hit her? As the vehicle passes, the woman disappears. Is this a trick of the eye? An optical illusion? Is this a movie set? Well, this is very easy to recreate. In both instances, we have suddenly a vehicle and then she appears. Well, she was either hiding behind another vehicle or was hiding on the other side of that vehicle. So she stays there until the next vehicle arrives. When it does, she merely stoops down so we can't see her anymore, and she's walking on the other side of that vehicle. Once again, hidden from sight. So I'm not convinced this is paranormal. Just because it's easy to recreate, but this is basically how every movie does it. What is this tormenting terror? As this man walks down this hallway, suddenly he is confronted by what appears to be a shadow person that attacks him. He is thrown to the ground, and then he's dragged by this tormenting terror. He desperately tries to escape and finally does. Well, once again, this is one of those editing tricks that can be done. They have filmed this twice. Once with two people very clearly visible. Then they film it where they cause that second person to just be a dark shadow. So I don't know if this is just a prank or if this is for a movie, but it's definitely fake. Creepy though, and I know if this happened to me, I would never have constipation again. Thanks for watching this compilation celebration. I hope you enjoyed these 10 episodes. Please let me know in the comments if you think I nailed it or failed it on each one of these clips. I appreciate your feedback, and I truly appreciate your support. It does encourage me to keep this channel going. The links for other social media platforms for this channel and for Jim is in the description below. Always be safe. It is free to subscribe. Please subscribe. There are many more videos you can watch, and you can click on the attached playlist card to see some of them. Thanks for watching Paranormal, True or False.